this morning.
Oh no.
It's all right.
About what?
I give up. I'm going to step back for a while and be invisible.
Well, you know, sometimes that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm gonna let the detail mafia run itself for a while.
Yeah. There you go.
See how it goes.
Get my AirPod connected.
There you go.
Maybe
You hear
that's why
Chris
you
now?
couldn't hear me.
Yeah, really. Can you hear Chris now, Kyle?
Hello. I don't think Kyle can hear any of us.
I don't think he can hear me either.
He's having technical difficulties.
Unless maybe just his AirPods aren't connected yet at all.
There we go. All right.
I gotta start drinking my coffee earlier so it hits sooner. I was driving back home this morning and there was so many deer that I wasn't drinking.
That's why I don't go out and get coffee. I wouldn't have to avoid deer. It would be homeless people.
Right. That is true.
Can you hear me, Kyle?
Kyle, can you hear anybody?
Yeah, we're not getting him. He's got a really stuttery signal too.
Oh, I think he's moving around. I think that's his chair squeaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear
Yep.
us?
I guess not.
Oh, I don't think he can hear us.
Can I hear you?
Oh, weird. Well,
You have the volume up on your iPad?
Yeah, because the connection, I mean, really, right? I mean, the connection should be... Let me,
Nothing good.
Kyle, oh,
I just texted him to make sure his volume's up.
What about now?
We can still hear you.
Can hear you.
Yeah, I have volume all the way up. I can hear the music, but I can't hear you guys.
Oh, that's weird. I wonder if it'll be...
How about now, Kyle? Anything?
Must not be. That is so weird.
I don't know. Now I can't even hear the music.
Well, that's because I stopped it.
It totally cut out. Log out.
I just told him that you'd turn the music off.
He's got to stop using an iPad.
I told him when he bought the iPad, I said, just buy a MacBook.
You there?
Yes.
We're still here. You still can't hear us?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Sydney, say something.
Hello.
All I hear
We've
is
been
I'm
talking
gonna-
to you the...
I'm going to
That is
jump on an iPad
so
real
weird.
quick and troubleshoot what he's going through.
Oh, great. Well, we'll see what happens when the music stops, right?
That is so weird. Frank C says he hears everything. Yeah, we do too, Frank. We're not sure why Kyle can't hear us. Gotta love technical difficulties first thing in the morning.
I can hear you.
Can you
now.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yay!
The music cut out. Now I can hear you, man.
That is so weird.
You
That
can,
was
so you can hear Sydney?
Really weird.
Yeah, he said he can hear me now as soon as the music turned off. So good morning, everybody. We're live,
I
right?
can't hear Chris though. Yeah.
You still can't hear me?
Good morning. Crap.
Interesting.
Little technical difficulties this
That's
morning.
so funny. It's okay. I'll just relay everything Chris says.
Frank can hear everything. Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
Oh,
And you can hear me, right, Kyle?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. All right. Cool.
Bead Maker and coffee after Monterey. We're going to do a nice recap. I can see Chris now.
Can you hear me any better?
I can hear you now.
Oh my goodness.
That's weird.
How funny.
It was just acting all strange. I don't know.
That's funny.
That is totally weird. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm Kyle Clark from PNS Detailing Products, and I am here in Southern California. And with me today, always, is Sydney Gwynn in Boise, Idaho.
Good morning, everybody.
Make sure I see it right.
It's bright and early this Monday morning.
Yeah, it feels earlier than normal. I don't know why. Just maybe it's a nice busy week.
Yep.
Good morning, Bill. So what we're going to do first is talk about our details, things that we did in the previous week, and we'll get into Monterey and kind of Monterey Car Week, and then we'll get into your questions because we've been getting a lot of questions lately on our social media. So, Sydney, why don't you start off and talk about one of the details you did last week?
So one of the details I worked on last week I thought was kind of a cool situation. So a couple years ago, it's probably been about 3 years ago, we coated a brand new Tesla, and it was just a Tesla 3. It was that red maroon color. And 3 years ago, I was using a different brand of coating, but it was a great coating, but it was one of the shorter term ones. So it was only meant to last, maybe a year or two. And it had been 3 years, probably 3.5 years since we put it on. And so she brought it back in to reapply the coating. And one of her biggest kind of frustrations with it, which I think was a lot because the coating was actually, for the most part expired. One of her biggest things was that she liked the way that the coating originally made the paint more red versus maroon. And so she mentioned that she would have to be putting Bead Maker on every time she washed the car to make it stay that bright red color. And so it was kind of fun to talk to her about the different options that I have now and just their ability to hold that bright color, indefinitely during the time of the coating. So we ended up going for Legend, which was really fun to put on a Tesla. I haven't put on Legend on a Tesla yet, and it goes on very nice on the paint. It looked amazing. She loved the color even more so. Like we mentioned when Legend came out, that Legend almost makes the paint look like it's in high definition or like a high def filter on your phone. And so she was super excited about how red it was. And it was great to, get the rest of the other coating off. And, there was virtually no paint damage. So that was awesome. And so it was basically just a recoat, and it was a lot of fun. And I actually had 2 cars in one day. So it was nice that car wasn't fussy. And then that same day, I also put Legend on and I'm going to mess up the number because I'm not a Mercedes aficionado, but I think it was a 560 SL. Does that sound right? Like an 88? Chris, you might know.
Sure, why not?
I don't. It was something like that. Anyway, it was the old white Mercedes, convertible, super cool. I know for sure it was an 88, and that was a lot of fun. And that had really hard paint. I think it was, I think it was, and it had really hard paint. Couldn't get a lot of the scratches out. They were really deep and had been in there forever. But it just really, kind of came in almost like a beigeish color, and it left bright white and so shiny. And so it was fun to work on 2 polar opposite vehicles that day, literally totally different paint. But it was just fun to, lay down Legend on 2 totally different paints and, adjust everything. And they both turned out amazing. So that was kind of my hardest but most fun day last week. After coming back from Monterey, it was a little labor intensive, but it was fun.
It was hard getting back to work.
Yeah.
I struggled getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
for sure.
I don't do a lot of interiors over the last year. I haven't. After, COVID, we didn't do as many interiors. We focused on a lot of exteriors, and now I'm starting to get my customers that I haven't seen in a while coming back in. And I did it was a Sierra Denali, a GMC truck, and the customer always takes great care of his vehicles. I mean, it's always in great shape, but it was kind of like oh, it just needs a little, and he didn't say that. I looked at it and thought, man, this isn't going to need a lot of work. And it ended up needing a lot more than I thought. We had to use EnviroClean all over the floor mats. They needed a deep scrub. I went really heavy with that. And, but man, Express Interior Cleaner, it just worked beautiful inside the truck. And I was really happy with how the interior looked, but I wanted it to just look a little bit darker. So I took natural finish, and we did natural finish to everything. If it was black plastic in there, except for the steering wheel and the pedals, it got natural finish. We let it soak in while we kind of did everything else. I went around with a microfiber towel and buffed it down, and it left it looking just, perfectly deep, not glossy, but you could definitely tell that the plastics had a nice looking finish. So to me, the last week, Express Interior Cleaner and Natural Finish were just a great way to clean and shine the plastics inside of a truck that's actually in pretty good shape. And then of course we used Bead Maker on the outside, and Brake Buster did its magic on the wheels that have not been cleaned very well in a long time. So, just those are always the go-to. I don't talk about Express very often, so I figured I'd bring that wonderful product up. So you mentioned, getting back from Monterey. That was 2 weeks ago. We were in the PNS headquarters. Doing our Bead Maker and coffee with an iPad that was taped to a cart. And we took a tour of the plant and how all the products are made. It was pretty impressive. I've been there before, but it's even bigger now.
It was really cool to be there. We got to see a couple different products being bottled, and that was awesome. I do encourage you guys to, if you have not, if you're on TikTok and you haven't followed PNS Detail Products yet, go do it, because we had a couple really fun TikToks from Monterey. One that comes to mind, talking about being at PNS headquarters, was we did one on Rags to Riches being bottled. That was really cool. I thought that was really neat, watching that be bottled. They actually pumped the Rags to Riches through both openings in the bottle, which I thought was really cool. So that was fun for us to see that, just because it was different than just, a standard pint. And then we had a couple from, the event. We had a couple. And then the other product that I want to mention is there's another great example of Undressed on there too. On that Tesla that I did, the tires were so brown, so brown and so dirty. So I just want to make a quick plug for our TikTok. And you have to forgive us, you guys. It's all Kyle and I, and we're not 18 years old, so we do the best we can.
We're trying on TikTok. I have fun with it. But keeps giving us grief over it, saying we need to do better.
She schools us.
So we were there at the headquarters. We got to see everything. We were on some tours to all the people that came to join us from the Detail Mafia. We went down and we got to partake in some amazing vehicles. Some of the you've already seen some of our pictures, but we have plenty more pictures to share. And videos. And one product that really stood out, that everyone seemed to love and really hasn't received a lot of love over the years, but we've had a long time, was Epic Waterless Wash. Because maybe it's the new look to it. Epic has a new fresh look in the pint. But everyone was Bead Maker to protect them. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see people excited about a product that we've had forever.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll go grab one in just a second. I didn't bring it over here, but I just got one of the new pints in the mail, so I'll go grab it in just a second. But yes, I was surprised. There was one night that we had to kind of go reorganize the van and kind of do a re-inventory of our products, and that it shocked me because I don't remember that in previous years, the team using that much Epic. And I think we went through almost all of it. And I don't even remember how many bottles there were, but a lot. And that was kind of cool. And we got a lot of feedback, and everybody, you could kind of hear when everybody would come back into the hangar, like, just little chatter about the Epic and how awesome it was. So that was fun. It was fun to see, just everybody try it and love it. And I think maybe to me, the cars seemed there was more dirty cars that came in, dirtier, not just dusty. And that's maybe why we ended up having to use it a little bit more, but it was great. Really, really great. So you keep talking about it, and I'm going to go grab one of the pints.
All right. So I'll tell you about my favorite cars that I saw there at Monterey at the McCall's event, and then Sydney can tell us about hers. But we got to work on a couple Broncos, and not that the one that we had to cut and polish was my favorite, but it was pretty unique that it was an all-electric classic Ford Bronco. I think it was like a 1968.
I think it was. I think that one might have been like a 71.
70?
I read the whole article about it, but I think it was like a 70, 71.
And what was the one next to it? That one was like a 68, yep. Right?
I think it was a 65 or a 66.
Okay.
Chris probably knows, but it was serial number 1.
And it was owned by Carol Shelby.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It was serial number 1, owned by Carol Shelby. The coolest part about that Bronco was, in this day and age, I think it's interesting to find one that hasn't been modified and jacked up and the big tires, right? Just like a natural Bronco in its original state. So that was kind of what I noticed on that one. But then the coolest thing was, the gentleman that was staging the Broncos that morning showed us that in the bed of the Bronco, it still had a bullet hole from Carol Shelby. And I don't remember the whole story, but something about it either broke down on the side of the road or he couldn't get it to run one day, and he just pulled out his gun and shot through the bed of the Bronco. And so that bullet hole was still there. So it was really cool. Really cool to see that.
That was way cool. I mean, the Fords definitely were showing off at the McCall's party.
There was a lot of Fords. Yeah.
Yeah. You had the Dan Gurney's,
Ford GTs, yep.
Ford GT, yeah. Those were way cool. And then a bunch of movie cars were there from the movie Ford versus Ferrari. So those were really cool to see. I mean, everything else was amazing, beautiful cars, but those were just they stood out to me.
Yeah, it was really fun. The Jet Center this year.
Those were beautiful cars.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's Carol Shelby, serial number 1. That was really, really fun to see. I love old stuff like that. So that was super cool.
Yeah, we had a team member crawl up underneath there and tires on both sides because they were so dirty.
Yeah.
And dress the tires, and we just want us to make it shiny. They just wanted it cleaned up, and we did the glass. Really didn't want to mess with anything on it, just getting it, getting the dust off of it for the show.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
And then during the party, I have flies all over my garage. And then during the party, they moved that one outside next to one of the brand new Broncos. So that was, that's always fun to see, the original version versus, obviously a reinvention and a re-release of the Broncos. So that was really cool. And then let's talk about the one that we worked on for a second. That was kind of crazy. So as most of you know, on the last Bead Maker and Coffee, I talked about the red one that I did. And we talked about how bad the paint was, that they had not spent very much on the paint. So there was a ton of wet sanding and, finishing to do, that it was just crazy. Well, then, so literally I tell that story on the last Bead Maker and Coffee, and we go up the very next day. And so we saw this Bronco, the teal electric one, get unloaded off the truck. And so we kind of, headed over to that hangar and started to wipe down the Carol Shelby one, and then the gentleman was there trying to put the cover over this one. And I said, hey, would you like us to wipe that down? And he goes, oh no, it just got finished. It doesn't need anything. It's perfect. And so I thought,
right.
Yeah, famous last words, right? And I said, well, just let us wipe it down. We'll make sure the glass is all great and stuff, and then we'll help you cover it back up. And he says, okay. So then we start looking at it, and I, get my polisher all ready, which happened to match the car, which was very cool, and get it all ready. And then we look, and there's yellow, almost like oil slicks all down the side of it. And so I immediately stop, and I'm like, oh no. And then we went and looked at the driver's side, all down the driver's side. So long story short, after everybody kind of freaked out and we went into a little busy bee mode, what do we do about this? They actually put the painter on the phone, and he kept saying, you're going to need to use a compound. You're going to need to use a compound. And he said, you can do whatever you want. The paint's hard. Well, come to find out, what happened was he wet sanded the whole car and probably used compound, and essentially he left all the pores of the paint open. He never put any kind of sealant, wax, never really finished it per se. And so
he never really actually got his sanding marks out either.
Yeah. And then
I'll throw him under the bus on that.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. It was.
We just kept finding one thing after another, and pretty soon we went from trying to fix these little tiny stains that were most likely caused from tire dressing.
The tire dressing flinging up, yep. But then it soaked into the paint, right? Because the paint was just left open. And then, there was sanding marks and, buffer trails, and it was pretty crazy. But it was super fun, and we got to completely paint correct the entire
most of it.
But
we just tried to clean it up for the show. Like we hit it with the Ego Maker. We hit it with lamb's wool. We polished it, and we got a lot of defects out. Honestly, it needs a day more of work, but it was ready for the show at least, and it was ready to be seen out in the sun.
Yep. Yeah.
Really, the sanding marks were interesting. You could not see them. You had to be on your knees looking up the door.
Yep. Yeah.
To see them. You could, looking down, you could not see them.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. So I think
project.
Kyle and I spent about 6 hours on that thing. It was pretty crazy, but it turned out really good. It was fun.
It was like 2 hours.
Fun. So you'll see a lot of pictures of it in the future because we were there for an entire day just on that car.
Yeah. It's like we spent 2 hours trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we finally were like, okay, let's just go all in because we're not going to fix these little problems. And so, that's what we did all day on that Tuesday.
Yep. And so here's the new bottle of Epic for anybody who has not seen it. It looks so good. So this is the pint, and then we have the quart, and obviously the gallon will have the new labels too. So that's what it looks like. Super cool.
A traditional waterless wash. So how we would use that is you would spray the surface of the paint with it, and you would use a microfiber towel and wipe in one direction, flip that towel and wipe in the other direction, fold that towel again. So you get to use all 8 sides of a towel, but you're never using the same side on the paint again. So in that process, you could, if you're waterless washing a vehicle, you could probably use 8 towels on a vehicle if you're doing it right. If you're doing it wrong, you're using, not enough towels, or you're using way too many. But the whole point is to lift the dirt into the towel without scratching the paint, and that's what it does. It will emulsify the dirt that's on the surface, and it has lubricants to lift it up into the towel. And then what you do after that is you follow behind with your favorite protectant or paint gloss, now that the dirt's been lifted. So it's a great product for people that just want to wipe their car down. It's too dirty for paint gloss, needs more of a wash. So Chris, do we have any questions yet, or should I start talking about questions from our social media?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Kyle, he just asked if you could hear him. I'm gonna guess that's
I cannot.
I think, Chris, for some reason, he can only see you when you're on screen with us.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here
I
we go.
don't know. It's bizarre. But you've had this problem before, and I haven't, so it's kind of.
Yeah. So this is a great question, but I'm going to say to this one, stay tuned for 2 weeks.
So,
look,
well,
there's obviously a reason why we're not talking about it, and it's a great product.
Yeah.
But we are waiting for one of our partners to receive their shipment of the product before we start talking about the product, even though our distributors already have it.
Yeah. And so
you're gonna have to wait a little bit.
Yeah. So like everything in the world right now, there was one part of a supply chain issue that was unexpected, and it's taken a little bit longer than thought. And so, yes, we are just waiting. We are waiting for, to have it fully ready to go before we really dive into everything about it, because we want people to see it and all of that. So it's a great product. It's worth the wait. So definitely stay tuned, and we'll have a lot more information coming for you.
Believe me, Gene, we want to talk about it, but not until it's in the hands of our other partner. So
yeah.
We're just going to keep going.
Yep.
Hold on. All right. So let's talk about Bead Maker, though. What makes Bead Maker awesome?
Yeah. I use Bead Maker every day. And one thing that I've started to notice on social media lately that I want to bring up and talk about, because it concerns me, is there's a lot of people out there lately, just in the last couple of weeks, saying that you can't apply Bead Maker while the car's wet. And I just really want to dive into that a little bit, because I think that I use it every single day wet. So I'm always surprised when I see that. I think that you always have to, and I feel like any product's this way, but I feel like you always have to adjust the product usage, the way that you apply it, all of that with your conditions. So just because it doesn't work in one condition doesn't mean that blanket across the board you can't use it that way. So I just kind of want to bring light to that. I use it wet every single day. I use it as a drying aid. Primarily what I'm using it for is a clay and seal. So I spray the whole car down when it's wet with Bead Maker, and then I use my clay towel, and then I dry the car. And it is, I can't imagine doing it any other way. It's so great. And then I use it as a drying aid all the time. I go back and forth between Bead Maker and paint gloss, but I would say 8 or 9 out of 10 cars I'm using Bead Maker. So I obviously live in Idaho. It's quite dry here. We don't fight a lot of humidity. I'm indoors, and I have the best towels, right? So I think that that's really important, that you maybe understand what's causing your issue. And if you haven't watched our Bead Maker tips on our PNS YouTube channel, I highly recommend it, because we address a lot of the different issues with it. So whether it be weather related, towel related, paint related, but I will say, when I talk to people personally about their challenges with Bead Maker, a lot of times it's the towel. So you really, really need to make sure that you're using good towels, and not always is the answer a brand new towel. Because like the rag company says, they always suggest that you pre-wash your towels. Now, I don't do that most of the time, but it depends on what towel you're using. But especially even like the FTWs, they work better after they've been washed. But then you also have to make sure that you don't have a towel that's super loaded with previous Bead Maker. I load my towels like crazy with Bead Maker, so I'm having to strip them a little bit more often than the next person. So I think that the towels, you really need to make sure that you're using a towel that is absorbent enough to pick the Bead Maker up off the surface of the car, or you will get that kind of humidity feedback, streaking, things like that. But if you're using it on a cool panel, not in direct sunlight, and using a good towel, most of the time you're not going to have a problem. But so I just wanted to address that, because I've seen that out there a lot. People just saying you absolutely cannot use Bead Maker wet, and that is not accurate.
Well, yeah, Paragon Automotive Detail just said they will
Hmm.
use it as a drying aid as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's awesome. I love using it that way. One, you
Hmm.
won't get the streaking issue that some people get because they're spraying it on, letting it sit, wiping it off with one towel, and hoping that
Hmm.
it doesn't leave anything behind. You literally, when you put Bead Maker on, you have to use two towels.
Yeah,
I just
every
it's
time.
every time. You just have to make sure that you wipe off that last little bit, and so it evaporates and it's not leaving any residue behind.
Hmm.
So that's why I enjoy using it as a drying aid as well, and it builds up a very small amount of protection over time, and protects either the coating or the original larger amount of bead maker that you put on when you've done a heavier coat.
Yeah. And then another big thing that we see come up is it's streaking on hoods. So here's something that I do, because when I do, say, a maintenance wash, which I don't do them a ton, but when I do a maintenance wash, the car's been driving, so the hood is that panel is significantly higher temperature than the rest of the car. And even just because I do a rinseless wash, the rinseless wash alone is not enough to cool down that hood, especially, say, on a black car. So if I have a black car come in and the hood is still pretty warm, I don't want to use just bead maker on it. And so what I'll do is I reverse my normal process, and I actually do the hood with paint gloss first. And so here's a fun test for you guys: is if the hood is hot, still pretty, you can kind of feel warm in your hand, spray one section with paint gloss, wait 10 seconds and then wipe it off, and then feel how much cooler that panel is. The paint gloss significantly cools down like it does your pad. It's significantly going to cool down that panel as long as you're in shade. We'll give that you. It's not going to do it in sun. If you're in shade, it's going to cool down that panel, and then you can go back over it with the bead maker. That's going to help you a ton if the panel's still warm. Just go ahead and cool it off with paint gloss. That works really well. Okay, so first question is it okay to leave bead maker in a pump sprayer? Will it damage the seals, etc.? I have found that the pump sprayer is a game changer when applying bead maker. Takes me a fraction of the time to apply. Do you use it in a pump sprayer, Kyle?
Yeah, I have an IK sprayer and it works
Mhm.
great. I haven't had any problems with it. Um, the only thing I actually ever have a problem with is the tip.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why those sprayers, at least the older generation, the fan,
Mhm. Mhm.
sometimes it gets clogged.
That filter
And
inside, yeah.
yeah, so you got to clean it out, but actual
Mhm.
seals work fine.
Yeah. Yep. I don't have any problems with the seals. The only thing is, don't leave it pressurized would be my only suggestion. I think that's just kind of across the board with those IK sprayers is, let the pressure out. There's that little pop-up knob on the top. So if you pressurize your bead maker, these slides, if you pressurize your bead maker, just make sure to unpressurize it if you're not going to be using it for a significant period of time. So, if it's a week or so in between when you're using it, just make sure unpressurize it. If you're using it every day, you're probably fine leaving the pressure in there. Cool. Next one, thoughts on graphene infused coating? Any plans of PNS coming out with something? Not at this
We
time. I think that it's always a common conversation. We have that conversation a lot.
Yeah, we've discussed it a few times. The great thing about PNS detailing products is we have a chemist in house who is one of the owners,
Hmm.
and he seriously tests
Hmm.
products. We give our
Hmm.
input, and until we see a huge benefit of certain
Hmm.
things in products,
Hmm.
we're always testing. We don't want to just come out with a product just because it's hype.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and
It's an important thing, to remember that PNS has been in business for 60 years. So they've seen a lot of stuff over the 6 years, a lot of, hype and fads and things like that. And so We came out with Legend in February, which is a very high solids coating. You know, we feel like it's right up there with graphene, and it stays true to what, you know, Dave knows and Bob knows. And so it's definitely not a never thing. It's just at this time, we haven't seen any major benefit over the coatings that we have. And, you know, I heard Levi make a comment last week that really hit home when they were asked about graphene infused coatings. And he said, you know, that there's such a small amount of graphene being put into these coatings. And of course, him being like the Pepsi guy, he said, you can't put 1 drop of Pepsi in an 8-ounce glass of water and call it Pepsi, right? So I think that that's important to know, is that in these coatings, it's a very small amount of graphene, and they are great. I mean, the graphene coatings that are out there are great. We don't deny that. It's just the manufacturing of them, and we don't see any further benefit over, you know, the Legend that we have, which is just a high solids coating. So, you know, it's not totally off the table, but it's definitely not something that we are,
Maybe
you know,
maybe we'll catch
super hyped up on.
we'll catch the next hype train on the next hype
Yeah.
product.
Yep.
We'll see
Yep.
what happens. But
Yep.
we do, as a team, get together and discuss all that. The Rad
Look, the
Company
Rad Company's
says,
here today. Dave and the entire PNS crew are awesome. Dave is awesome. Dave
thank you
is
guys.
like the true hero, right? None of us would be
Yeah,
here if it wasn't for Dave.
it was a lot of fun to
Mhm.
let Dave explain how, you know, the sausage is
Mhm.
made. You know,
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
you know, from the mixing
Mhm.
that was happening out near the floor for everyday products,
Mhm.
and then the explosion proof room where air is always
Yeah.
moving for more volatile products.
Yeah.
It was really cool to let him just, you know, he showed us like the build sheet of how much goes into each product and how it's weighed. It's cool, really
Mhm.
cool.
That was really
So
cool to me. And yeah, you guys, if you missed our tour, I mean, there's literally like huge drums that everything gets mixed in, and it's like, I mean, it's crazy. There's this build sheet that has all these numbers on it that they all understand, but it's crazy. It gets mixed right there, and that part was the most wild to me. Really, really cool.
yeah, or in how they just go in small amounts, you know, for products that we may have had
Hmm.
for a long time. We don't need thousands of, or
Hmm.
we have our larger filling going where it was just filling pallets, filling
Hmm.
pallets.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, seeing the different ways of doing it and what they cycle through
Yeah.
every day and like the process. So
Yep.
definitely cool.
Yeah.
Um, so what are some of the opportunities and obstacles of using Bead Maker in a foam cannon? Are there specific conditions where it is beneficial? So I have done a lot of this. We call it the bead cannon. And some of the opportunities are you're able to do large vehicles or large areas and protect them for long term with doing it very quickly. I do it on RVs a lot. I've done it on large SUVs, boats, and you're able to lay down a very similar protection as just a normal application of Bead Maker. Um, some of the obstacles can be if the vehicle's old or very dried out. It may not bond to those vehicles. The substrate, the surface of the vehicle, whatever it is, needs to be in good condition. Otherwise, you're not going to see beading. And therefore, after you have to go back and top it again with Bead Maker to make sure there's a thicker layer.
Hmm.
And it works great. I can do a wash and a wax on an RV. Don't tell my customers. I can literally do their RV in an hour and a half, like washed, bead cannoned,
Hmm.
and dried with me and my guys. So 2 hours we can be, you know, on to the next vehicle. It's pretty cool. And I've seen long-term benefits of 3 to 6 months, depending on how the RV is stored. Indoors, it's going to last a long time. Outside, yeah, it won't last as long. So give it a try. Try it for yourself. Take a new but probably cheaper foam cannon. I have the really high end, like was it NTMs, and I have like the $20 special from Amazon. It works fine in both. Full strength, low water in the setting, and shoot it on the surface. Let it dwell for a minute or so, maybe 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and then start rinsing it off. That's it. So
Yeah.
Hope that answers your question. Give it a try.
All right. How long should you wait before applying a second layer of Bead Maker? So that question could have a couple different answers. So if you're doing it, like if you're wanting to do same day kind of situation, you can certainly do that. I would recommend waiting, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. I don't think there's a specific time that, you're not going to have problems putting it back on. Otherwise, really the answer is you can use it as often as you'd like. So I wouldn't use it every day. I wouldn't use it, every day not washing the car. I think that it's, I've gone periods of my car washing it once a week and using Bead Maker as the drying aid every time for a month or so. No problem. I think the only time I've heard of it being a problem of building is if you're, like show cars. If somebody goes out and is wiping their car down in their garage every day with Bead Maker, never really using the car, and they just keep layering it and layering it, layering it, and there's actually dust cut in between. That's really the only time that I've heard of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, if it's having the opportunity for it to evaporate over time, and then it's time to put the next layer on. But in this, it sounds like you wanted to stack it on. You could put a couple layers on, give it an hour between them, and call it good. I've done that as well. Like I just said about the bead cannon, I've bead cannoned an entire RV. Then I've gone back and I've hand applied Bead Maker to the top edges of the RV to make sure that it had maximum protection, because the top edges, the cap of the front and the back of the RV, they wear the most, the fastest, either from the sun, the cleaners. So, sorry, I just got an email, just popped right up in front of the screen. So, yeah, there's many ways to do that, but you can stack Bead Maker.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Bill.
Yeah. Have a good day, Bill. So using Bead Maker as a topper, is it best to apply Bead Maker after waxing or before?
Kind of depends on what you're talking about waxing.
Yeah.
I mean, Bead Maker to me is a replacement for wax. I don't use wax unless it's a very specific reason, maybe a classic car for some reason, or it's a customer request. But Bead Maker is my wax. So
yeah,
we got to be careful about mixing products too, right, Sydney? You don't want to.
Yeah.
Some don't play well.
Right. For me, I think that if we're talking about just kind of typical wax, you want to put your Bead Maker down first. And I just don't really see the place where you would need both of those products. Just because the wax is a very short term, kind of a pop for the paint, but Bead Maker does such a great job on its own that it's just kind of an extra step that's not really necessary. But there's two instances where I still think Bead Maker goes great over a wax, and that will be in an all-in-one situation. So like over the Rupa's Uno Protect, Bead Maker's awesome over that. And so Uno Protect does leave behind a slight amount of carnauba wax, fillers, whatever. It works great over Uno Protect. So, and really even over like the HD Speed, any of those all-in-ones, Bead Maker goes great over. And I would always finish an all-in-one with Bead Maker. The other thing that doesn't get talked about anymore, which was kind of, several years ago, but it's still an awesome process. I don't really ever have the opportunity to do it, but it's still an awesome process, is Bead Maker over Colonite. It honestly works really well and it looks great. So that's just one to not be forgotten, that it does go really well over Colonite. Over a paste wax or something like that, it's probably not going to be great. It's just really not meant to be used
You
that
know,
way.
it works great on top of like Playmaker or
Hmm.
on top of Ultra Coat Polish, which does have
Yeah.
Protectant in it.
Yep.
But we were more like, I think we're referring to wax right now, like Sydney said, a paste wax.
Yeah.
If you actually
Yeah.
paste wax the car, buff it
Hmm.
down, and then you're trying to use Bead Maker on top of it, they
Hmm.
may not bond very well together. So if you're applying it with like polisher, it's a lot thinner layer. It's done some shine work to the paint. Then Bead
Hmm.
Maker is a great topper for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Test it out. It just some vehicles and some other companies' products, they don't play well together.
Yep. Yep. All right. So then we've got, let's see, that's the one I was hoping. So Jean asked, when using Bead Maker as a drying agent, will I get the same results as applying after traditional drying method? I hope that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense to me. So like I said, because I do this every single day, I use it as basically as a wet application. Because I'm doing it as a clay and seal, I am still doing a full application. So, and most of my cars come back 3 to 6 months. I have cars that come in at 6 months and I go to wash them and I'm like, holy cow. I mean, the bead maker's still there. So I feel, because I do it every single day, I feel like I still get the exact same time frame out of the bead maker that I do. I don't know if it has to do with the clay and almost like massaging it into the paint. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I think that probably if I put it on without claying, you might not get as long out of it. And I think my thought process there is going to be because the paint's not perfectly clean. And so it may not be completely bonding with the paint. There's, you know, other, what's the word I'm looking for here? Totally blanking out. Contamination on the paint. And so you might not get the full bond with the bead maker. So using the clay mitt or the clay towel to apply bead maker wet, I get great results out of it. So, and then I think as long as your paint's clean and you're using it as a drying agent, I think you're going to get the same results. My thing on my personal car is I can't stop using bead maker. So I don't ever go 6 or 9 months without using it. So I'm not really sure as far as just using it as a drying agent, because I use it, every couple washes.
Nice.
All right. I like spraying bead maker on a towel and wiping down my interior.
Me too. I love it on the dashboard,
Mm-hmm.
door panels. I've only dressed the interior of my truck once in the 3 years I've owned it, and that was like back in July, just because it needed a little love after a lot of off-roading. And but Bead Maker is kind of my wipe down for the dash and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
the windows, the mirrors, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It works great. It gives it a nice
Yeah.
kind of like a reflection. You can tell it's there, but it's not leaving it greasy at all. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very nice.
Yeah, it works great. I typically my details include the interior protectant. So primarily what I use Bead Maker on the interior for is kind of that final wipe. So after I've applied the protectant, I'm wiping down the center console if it's a different material, the speedometer gauges, the nav screen. It's kind of my final touch up. I just spray a little bit on a towel and that's my final touch up towel. And then, like Kyle said, I like to use it on the windows after they've been cleaned. If you have a vehicle that gets kind of those hazy windows, tends to build up a lot of, film and things like that, it's a great option to go back over the interior windows with Bead Maker, and it really cuts that down. And we've tested that several times, done half and half, and the half with Bead Maker doesn't near get, and that's usually primarily brought by off gassing. There's certain vehicles that do it worse than others. For whatever reason, Jeep Grand Cherokee's off gas like no other vehicle I've ever seen. And so it's a great opportunity to kind of cut that down. But I usually start with a clean I use TrueView, get the window clean, usually let it really kind of dry for a while. I don't go straight over with Bead Maker over the TrueView. I give it a few minutes and then I'll finish the windows inside with Bead Maker.
So
Would you say Bead Maker over, say, shine all interior surfaces?
It depends on if the plastics need shine all or not. I tend to not dress if I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
If the interior already looks great and it's clean and just maintaining, Bead Maker all the way. If the plastics are starting to dry out, then yeah, use an interior dressing, shine all or natural finish. I really like natural finish because it doesn't have as much gloss.
Yeah.
And it really lays down nicely and it seems to soak into plastics evenly. And so really just depends on the condition of the plastics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the leather.
Yep. Yeah. And I live in kind of a desert area, so every single car that comes in is super dry. So I tend to dress almost every car, unless I have ones that are coming in every 3 months and they're, really holding on to that protectant. But I use natural finish, so I'm not using anything that is super shiny, sticky, anything like that. And so, yeah, Bead Maker is great on the inside. I do use it a lot on my own interior, but obviously my own interior is in really good shape, really, really good shape. So I can get away with it on my own car. But I use it in conjunction with the protectants and it works great. So
All right.
cool. Next one. Look at that. Gordon McCall. Hi, Gordon. Thanks for catching us. So he says, good morning, Sydney and Kyle. You both were just amazing during our Jet Center and Quail shows. Thank you for all your help. Go Team PNS. Yes, for sure. The team did awesome. And the Mafia, man, they killed it out there. Kyle and I were really busy doing kind of some off script stuff. And so we didn't get to join the team a whole lot when they were out there, but man, busy bees. And I know every time we would go up to a car, it was like everything was always done. So the Mafia just absolutely killed it out there. They were awesome. The show this year was so fun and so well organized, and it was just awesome. It was really, really great.
It's cool to see the difference every year. I've been going almost every year, and your show definitely has evolved and gotten better in so many different ways. And we appreciate you letting us be a part of it. And congratulations on your new journey with your show and Haggerty. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you know what I thought was cool about the show this year was, obviously the show had to be postponed in 2020. So it's been 2 years, and you would just assume with, the vibe in the world right now, we're still in a pandemic, it was kind of crazy, but everything that whole week was so chill. Like we were working hard and everybody was busy, but it was pretty chill. Like the vibe was pretty chill. Even watching the people setting up the show and things like that, nobody was, you know what I mean? Like there was no chaos.
No stress.
Yeah, there was no stress or chaos. It was just very chill, and it was so great to be a part of. So, and yes, like Kyle said, congratulations on everything, Gordon. It was absolutely a successful week and so much fun. It was awesome.
It was really cool to be there with Sydney, working in kind of a little bit different capacity than years past. Because in the past, I felt like I was just polishing and wiping down cars all the time. This time, we had a goal of getting pictures and video and content, and it was really cool to kind of have a different focus, and then also to kind of direct the guys who haven't been there in the past and say, hey, do this. This is cool. You should do this. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. Just like Nick Vecchio, huh?
Yep. Nick, he was one of our returning veterans. Nick was amazing. And he says, what an amazing week. Thank you, Gordon and PNS and my Mafia brothers and sisters. What an amazing team we had this year. It was just
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Such an amazing team. They all worked so hard, and, from folks from all over the country. And it was just really, really cool.
They all enjoyed, the party, enjoyed life. Ricardo, it was such a blast to watch him have a great time. And then some of these guys at some point snuck into the the red VIP area. Don't tell Gordon. And got to enjoy some some treats and drinks and food that they probably never would have ever tasted or tried. It was really, and to see how excited they were to try caviar, and it was hilarious. Actually, I really enjoyed watching my friends have a good time. So, oh, there's the picture.
Look at that whole group. So awesome.
Yeah, we got to make that the official picture and post it up soon.
Yep.
Soon.
We'll have to put the banner across it and all that. Yeah, that was a great team, great time. And thanks for everyone that was watching and all that we were doing.
Yep.
So,
all right, next question. What do you recommend for bringing back the new black look on WeatherTech liners without getting too slippery? This is a great question. This comes up a lot. So my favorite way is I clean them with Tempest. Tempest is from our Chemtrol line. It is a really heavy degreaser, but my favorite thing is it doesn't turn the WeatherTech brown when you clean it. That tends to be a big problem with a lot of the all-purpose cleaners out there on the market. So Tempest and EnviroClean both do a great job. The other two products this is the best part, is we have so many great products to clean it with. So Tempest and EnviroClean from the Chemtrol line are awesome. Then Breakbuster is amazing, works really, really good. And then the other new one that is becoming a favorite of mine is the Undressed, because it is a rubber and tire cleaner. Undressed works awesome too. So first step is make sure you're cleaning it with a good product that's not causing you more work to do on the back end. Then we just mentioned it a little bit ago, natural finish. As soon as they're dry, I spray them down with natural finish, and I actually set them out in the sun to bake, and it soaks all the natural finish in. They turn super black, and you literally can't feel any of the product. So not slippery at all. And then if it doesn't bake all the way in, you just take a towel and wipe the surface. Totally black and not slippery at all. No greasy feel left behind at all.
Yeah, I just did it on that GMC that earlier this week. And what I would say is I soak it in the sun just like Sydney, but I kind of like to put a fine mist of the product on the whole floor mat, because I don't want it to puddle, and come together in like one of like the little maybe the little divots. And that happened to me. So then I had like a little shiny spot, but all I did was take a towel and just buff it down.
Yeah, I don't let it puddle for sure. Yeah.
And it natural finish is perfect for those.
Yep. And if you don't have natural finish, dynamic works great for it as well. And usually I'll do dynamic diluted like 8-to-1. So 8 parts water, 1 part dynamic. And you're going to get that nourishing from the dynamic, but you're not going to have a lot of shine. So I love both natural finish and dynamic. I just obviously use natural finish more because it is ready to go.
It's kind of more of an interior driven product, even though they both have similarities. Natural finish has more of like a leather fresh smell. And I really like that on interiors. And I've used it on trim. I've used it on the outside of the vehicle, but I don't really ever use it on tires. I always go to dynamic for tires.
I did use natural finish. There's a couple cars that I do maintenance on that I do use the natural finish. So like I had the Ferrari 308 in here last night, and we did use natural finish because we didn't want to use anything too shiny, because he doesn't really like tire shine. And so I actually did use natural finish on the tires last night, and it just made them super black and look like they weren't dressed. So, kind of in those classic car situations, natural finish is actually great as when you need to dress the tires, but you don't want the tires to be dressed, if that makes sense.
When you want them to look natural, maybe that's why the name is called
natural finish. Yeah, totally. Cool. So PNS Detail Products is here, says, great job, kids. I wonder if that's Bob.
I wonder if he's back, or is he still out of the country?
If it's dinner time in Africa. Yes. Cool. All right. So then the smell of dynamic is second to none. That is accurate. So it is banana scent. I love that. I didn't used to like it because I'm not a big banana smell person, but now I really love it. It's grown on me, and dynamic is fun. I like to use dynamic on the tires because I like for my shop to smell like dynamic.
Since I've been doing detailing for a long time, since I was 13 years old. And there's those smells of products that
Yeah.
like will bring me back to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's even with, the PNS line after using it for so many years.
Mhm.
I smell Bead Maker and I just love it. I smell Dynamic and I love it. And there's an old product, man, I can't remember who makes it, but there was like a trim and rubber restorer I used to use when I was a kid. And it just reminded me of summertime. It smelled like sunscreen and like cherries. And I
Yeah.
gotta find that one. I gotta find who makes it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But if I took a whiff of that, I would feel like I was 13 again.
Yeah. As for me, it's Express Interior. And I haven't pinpointed it yet, but the very first time I used Express Interior, it reminded me of something from my childhood. It's got kind of that tutti frutti scent
Hmm.
and just also a clean scent. And for me, I just fell in love with Express right away because of the scent. And it triggered something that,
And
reminded me of my
remember,
childhood and was
Express
great.
Interior, Sydney's kind of the reason Express is in the double black line. She's the one that was like, "Why is it not in double black?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how she
That
got.
was Yep,
That
that's
was
how I got
pre
connected
working
with
for
Bob and Dave. I
PNS.
went down. I heard Dave was at the rag company. I went down to say, why, this product is my favorite. It's so great. Why doesn't anybody know about it? It's so great. I love Express.
Yeah, cherry
Um,
cough syrup, cough drops.
yeah, a
Yeah,
little
I could
bit.
see
Maybe
that
that's
a little
it.
bit.
Maybe it's maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's those Luden cough drops because I used to love those when I was a
I
kid.
got my halls right
Yeah,
here.
but remember the Ludens
Yeah.
that came in the little box and there was like
Yep.
10 of them? That's probably what it is. Because I was a big Ludens fan when I was in elementary school. That's probably what it is. And Uni's here this morning. Good job, guys. You have a great rest of the week and thanks for all your advice. You have a great week too, Uni. I really miss
Oh,
Uni. I haven't seen her
uni.
forever. I can't wait for SEMA. I hope
Hopefully
SEMA happens
SEMA.
because, yeah. Yep. All right. Any more questions? Did we miss any? I did see William Lara say he loves Kyle. That's always nice.
William, I'm excited to see you at SEMA too.
And I hope everybody's been seeing William's shirts out there. I've seen them all over social media this week, which is
I
so
love
awesome.
my shirt.
Me
I thank you,
too.
William.
Me too.
I love the
Yeah.
material. The logo
Yep.
is sick. I'm actually
It's so
super
cool.
jealous. Whoever
Yeah.
made your logo, send me their info because I need a logo made.
It's so
That
great. I'll be
is
scrolling through Instagram and I see the
legit.
logo and it always makes me stop because it's so noticeable. I know Kelly Minkin up in Hawaii yesterday posted hers out by a
There you
plane and
go.
it made me notice it. Yep, there we go. Such a cool shirt. Love it.
So if you're in Miami and you need detailing products, go see William at Miami Lux Detail Supply. He has a nice store there, and he has a great selection of PNS products. It's really, and I got to say, man, your store, I love the floor. I am so
Hmm.
jealous. I love like the gray and the black and the pink and the floor. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just, it's totally you.
Yep.
But it looks pretty. If I ever get go to a new house, I'm gonna have my floor done like that. Maybe I'll have my floor redone here. I don't know.
There you go. That's fun.
Man, that was cool. SEMA for sure, for uni.
Yep. Yeah, we're still hopeful. I mean, SEMA did it last year too, but they seem full speed ahead, which it seems like there's other large events in Vegas happening. So we'll see, MTE is supposed to be this coming weekend, right? I believe.
Yes.
Yes, I will
So
be
we'll see
there
how
this
that
week.
goes. Yeah, so we'll see how MTE goes. Obviously the Raider Stadium is opening this year for full games. And so I think the good thing about SEMA is that Las Vegas as a city still has a couple months to figure out how they're handling large crowds. So, I've seen a lot of chatter on social media about SEMA, folks being concerned that it's going to cancel, being concerned about going. And, I'm just like everything I've found over the last 18 months, just to keep an open mind, and we can only adjust to right that moment, right? Because next week it's going to be different. September 1st, it's going to be different. You know, there's going to be a lot of changes coming our way. But I think the good thing that we have going in our favor is that over the fall, Las Vegas has a lot of different events going on that they're going to figure it out. And I think SEMA will still move forward. I think there just may be some interesting, you know, decisions and choices that everybody has to make. And so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it's still going to go on, and I want to be there. I know the entire team PNS wants to be there, and we're going to do everything we can to be there. So hopefully everybody will.
We're all going to have to wear Tyvek suits and
yeah, that's fine. You know,
and
waiters.
respirators.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Lots of fun.
Scott Misha's here. Hey guys. Hi Scott.
Hey Scott.
Thanks for tuning in.
What your new venture is.
Yeah.
You gave us a teaser. I want to know what it is. We'll
Yep.
see soon.
Yep. Ricardo says, my PNS rep hasn't been able to bring any dynamic for about a week. Is there a shortage on products? Yes, Ricardo, there was. So, and I'm not sure that this ever got announced publicly because we were hoping that it would be a short-term pause in production, but we did run out of the silicones. The silicone in dynamic became completely unavailable, as with all these other crazy supply chain issues. And so when we were at PNS a week ago, I did specifically talk to Dave about dynamic, and he was hoping that the pause would only be another, you know, week or two, you know, best case scenario. So yes, there's been a pause on that product, but it is coming back. So fear not. You know, there's still a lot of it out there. I know that there's still a lot of places that have it in stock. I would definitely check maybe Amazon. And see
Amazon,
if it's still in,
your local distributor. If not, check out
like detailing.com, AutoGeek.
Detailing.com.
There's still places out there that have it in stock, but yes, there may be a slight pause, and there's going to be a few places that are going to run out of supply. So hopefully it's coming back soon. We can definitely keep you up to date on that.
Everybody pivoted. All the industry pivoted last year and made hand sanitizer. And so all the silicone people stopped making silicone, and now we're seeing the ripple effect. And it's going to trickle down.
And we decided to come out with dynamic RTU, which made us burn through our silicone back stock quite a bit faster than expected. So that was a good thing, but caused a little bit earlier pause than we were expecting. So it will be back. So fear not. Just maybe check around, you know, and see who still has it in stock.
Yeah, I'm hoarding my last 5 gallon.
Yeah, I have about a gallon and a half, and I'm using it sparingly for sure. Yep. So then we've got Express is a really nice product. It's much better than using diluted APC. That is so true. So this is another thing. Let's talk about that. I see that on social media all the time. People are like, just use an APC, just use an APC. Like, you know, the LA Awesome from the dollar store. Like they say all APCs are the same, and they're so not. They're so not.
No.
And so we talked about, you know, me talking to Dave about Express and how great it was. The biggest thing that I noticed when I started using Express was there was literally almost no chance of me damaging anything. With normal APCs, you can bleach the plastics inside. I mean, just search APC and plastics and you'll see pictures of, you know, you spray it on and it runs. You're never getting that out, you know, or spraying it on the gauge clusters can just absolutely ruin them. I have cars come in from the dealerships all the time with that. So without knowing, you know, there's a lot of APCs out there that can burn, you know, they're very hot. And so they'll burn, you know, everywhere you spray. I've seen leather that people have sprayed an APC on and it literally bleaches the leather. So you have to be really careful what you're using on interiors. And so Express is just, for me, it's like an insurance policy. I know I'm not going to ruin anything with Express.
It was a great point saying that it's hot, because like APCs, like you literally can see them, like the vapor coming off of them, right? And you can it has like a bite to them, where Express is like smooth. It's more smooth going on. It's not hot. You can see some light suds happening right away because I use mine in an IK, and it just works so well that way. Only time I'm ever concerned about using Express on Tesla leather. That is the only thing I'm ever concerned about.
Yeah.
And that's just because white Tesla leather, if you look at it wrong, you'll damage it. And so even then, I still use Express. It's just a higher diluted Express, and it just
and I
works
spray
so
it
well.
on I spray it on my scrub pad, right? I don't spray it directly on
Exactly.
the leather. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we love Express. I love Express. Gosh, Express is one of, well, everything's my favorite, but I really love Express.
For me, it's my favorite. We love giving Sydney a hard time because everything's her favorite. But I know what she means. Like it's her favorite use for that product.
For that process, yes.
Yeah. And I get it, but we love to make fun of it because it's totally her. So if you ever hear me start talking and saying things are my favorite, it's just to give her a hard time. We did that a lot in Monterey. So it was my favorite trip this year. Was Monterey, but my favorite was Monterey.
Yeah.
So, any other questions, Chris? I can't hear you still, so you'll have to tell Sydney. If not, we can start wrapping up maybe with some final thoughts.
I don't really see any questions popping up. Hey, look,
Can you hear
Chris,
me now?
It's light where you live now.
There you go. So weird. No other questions at the moment.
Burning off. Okay.
Cool. So our next Bead Maker and Coffee is going to be on Labor Day Monday. We are still going to do it that day. So hopefully everyone can join us, wherever you are, if you take the day off, if you don't. I know for me as a detailer, I rarely ever got to take Labor Day off. So we'll both be here. Who knows? Kyle might be out in the middle of a sand dune somewhere, but he always checks in with us. So that's always nice.
We'll see what happens.
We might have a special guest on that day, and it might be a special version of Bead Maker and Coffee. So make sure to put it on your calendar. Yeah, and hopefully you guys can join us that day. But we will be there bright and early on Labor Day Monday.
Thanks, Chris. Oh, what shirt you wearing?
I've worn this one before, I think.
1966.
It's got the 3 Le Mans winners from
cool.
the Ford versus Ferrari movie.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
I wore my Chris's shirts. I love it.
I wore my Detailed Image shirt yesterday. And
cool.
I have to say I was digging the quality of the shirt.
Was it the blue one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. I like that shirt.
Yeah.
So I made note of that for future shirt projects.
Yeah, I'm wearing the new double black T-shirt that just came out that has I won't turn around. It has the 60-year logo on the back, but we got these at McCall's. The team got them, and so if your distributor doesn't carry the PNS gear, because we do get this question a lot. People say, "Where can I get PNS gear?" If your distributor doesn't carry it, ask them to, because we have plenty of it available. So there's the new T-shirts, sweatshirts. And we have bags and cups and bags, cups, all the banners. You guys see my new legend banner? Finally got it hung up. So we've got all that. There's like 5 or 6 banners to choose from. So if your PNS rep doesn't carry them, ask them to.
I would normally like to do Bead Maker and Coffee from my garage like you, but my guys are getting the van ready at 7 a.m. So it would be a little loud and distracting. So that's why I'm here in the office.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't been able to do it in my garage for a long time because it's been so hot, but it's 56 degrees this morning.
Nice.
So nice. Yeah.
All right. Well, till Labor Day, everyone, thanks for joining us. Thank you for the great questions. And hopefully we get to talk about that new product that everyone's anxious about on Labor Day.
Awesome. See you later.
All right. See you guys.